Let's go ahead and build out a virtual network that supports multiple availability zones and this highly available architecture in a single region. And before we do this, one of the design considerations that you want to basically take into account here is you want to make sure that you're working with a region that does support availability zones. So at the time that I'm recording this video, this topic in the Azure documentation, what are availability zones in Azure, actually has the list of supported regions. So regions that support availability zones. Currently a short list, a couple of regions you can see are in preview, but this is really the basics. The first step you want to do is identify a region that does support the multiple availability zones. That way you don't get into building everything out and find out that it's not supported yet. So I'm going to actually use West US 2 because that's close to where I'm at. So let's go into the portal, create a new resource. We'll go to networking. And then we'll pick the first option here, virtual network. And then we'll give it a name. I'll call this web servers VNet. Then we'll define an address space for this virtual network. What I'll do is use 192.168.0.0/16. And that'll give us over 65,000 IP addresses, and we can carve that up. We can build multiple subnets inside that virtual network if we want to. From there, we'll put this in a resource group. We'll create a resource group. I'll again call this web servers. And then down at the bottom for the subnets, the cool thing about the subnets here in the virtual networks is they can actually span availability zones. So I can go with this one default subnet and create one address range, like 192.168.0.0/24. And as I deploy my servers, I can put them in the right availability zone, but I can always put them in this one subnet here. So it actually makes the design for my network less complicated. I don't need an additional subnet, or I don't need distinct subnets for every availability zone. So that's kind of a nice thing, but let's go ahead and create this virtual network. And with that virtual network created, let's close out of this. We'll go back to resource groups. We'll go to our web servers resource group. So we've got the virtual network in there. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to create a security group for the web servers. So we'll look for a network security group. And this will be our firewall that our web servers we use. So we'll create this resource. And that way we just have one web server security group. We don't have to create an individual security group for every web server we deploy. So we'll call this web server NSG for web server network security group. We'll put this in the web servers resource group and create that resource. And with that deployment complete, we close out a notification window and go back to resource groups, check our web servers resource group. And so now we've got a virtual network and we've got a network security group for our servers. So in that network security group, let's go to the inbound security rules. So the source in this inbound security rule will be any, because this is a web application open to anyone. The destination will be anything inside the virtual network because we're just going to have one subnet. Destination port range will be port 80. That'll be a TCP port 80 rule. And we'll just call the rule port_80. And with that rule created, we've got the basic infrastructure that we need to build a highly available application across multiple availability zones here. Later on, I'll show you more advanced network architecture, but for now, this is perfect for everything that we need. Let's move to the next video, and what we'll do is deploy some web servers into different availability zones in this existing virtual network that we just built.